Boom. We're good.
What are you
We're
gonna,
good.
What are you going to talk about?
Well, we're talking about animal sentience tonight. Whenever you choose to hear this podcast, whenever you choose to be a part of it, Ron.
Are you talking to, you like when I listen to it later?
Well, no,
I'm not on the podcast.
Whenever you're right here, right now, with Ron and Bill and Joe and
I think you're
I'm
going to
Joe.
talk about
You are Joe, yeah.
animal sentience. I'm just talking about animals.
Well, I did have a specific topic of conversation. I wanted to start it off with a little bit of an anecdote. Just a little anecdote, if I could do that.
Do you have to?
I could. I don't have to.
Yeah, do it.
It's optional.
You've already said it.
Are they?
You,
Are the listeners?
did you
paying?
get like poisoned or?
Well, you could call it a poison of the soul,
Yeah.
in a sense.
That's why we need the antidote.
That's why we need the tincture you found in my bathroom.
Yes.
Um,
For those of you not listening to our sound check,
I already deleted it.
it's never gonna see the light of day.
Never
I thought I
surfaced.
washed my hands with mouthwash, okay?
It's alright. You know, when you're fumbling around in the dark trying to find your willy, and you accidentally find the mouthwash. So,
It takes me a while to find the lily.
If I had a dime for every time that happened,
All
I
right.
would have no money. Because it's not happening.
That
so
would suck, you'd be poor.
Yeah.
you'd be so
Be-
broke.
No change.
You'd be just like me,
How much
Yeah.
you pay rent?
single father living on his own.
Be hard
Shit.
to pay rent on
Nothing.
whatever. Nothing. Yeah. On dimes gained from that situation. Which
Let
I've gained now.
alone feed your children. How many do you have this week?
16 tonight.
16 kids.
Yeah.
16
Yes.
perfectly normal human children.
Definitely, definitely human.
You snuck that one in there, didn't you? So you're listening to the Dad of the Week podcast, and we're just a bunch of dads hanging out, talking about stuff. This is a podcast by dads for dads.
Because sometimes a podcast can just be 3 dads.
It's very true. Sometimes, just like a family can just be dads, a podcast can also be dads. But we're talking about some stuff tonight, or whenever you choose to listen to this podcast, whenever you've made it past the paywall that will inevitably put up.
By the way,
Yes.
thank you for listening, Steve. It's good to see that you're participating.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Steve. You've been a long-time supporter of ours.
One of our patrons.
There's-
One of our patrons.
There's one Steve out in the world right now.
He's like,
holy shit!
He's like, fuck yeah!
Goddamn Obama copter! Did
Spying on me.
I say goddamn? Is that okay? We didn't decide. on that.
This okay.
This
so
is a-
dads need to vent from time to
That's
time,
true,
so I assume
yeah.
they're gonna listen to this and be like, "Yes, cuss words.
Listen.
I can't do this IRL.
It's like I
I
said.
can listen to these dads curse.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a podcast by dads for dads.
Hashtag for dads.
And if you're not a dad and you're listening to this podcast, please immediately set yourself on fire.
This is not for you.
This is not for you, and you deserve holy punishment. But there's been something that's on my mind lately, and I'd like to sort of get it off my chest if I could. It's animals. I've been thinking about animals a lot lately. Specifically, animals that seem emotionally sensitive, and they bother me a little bit. They bother me a little bit, and I'd like to sort of place that on the table for all of us to examine, for all of us to mull over for a second. There are a few specific animals that I am scared will become the next dominant species on planet Earth.
You're scared about it?
You think they will usurp our authority?
Yes, I
on
do.
this planet?
And I've got a few illogical reasons to back that up. Because I've done almost next to no research on this topic. I've looked at a few headlines and got a little spooked.
Well, that's good enough.
That's what,
I take pride in the fact that none of us do a whole lot of research.
yeah.
You can't believe what you read on the internet anyway, so you
That's-
just say that we're wrong and everybody else is right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
As far as everyone listening is concerned, I'm an authority on this topic.
Yes.
I'm the authority on this topic for the next however long we decide to talk about it.
I won't argue that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a question, though. As far as becoming the next dominant species, do you think they will destroy humanity to do that, or
No.
take over after humanity has destroyed themselves?
Also, no.
You think they're gonna harness the potential of humanity for their own bidding?
Alongside us.
We sort of get drug into this manifestation of power and intelligence, but as a tool, as a pawn.
Well, okay, let's walk it back. Let's start
at the beginning.
We're gonna start from square one.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, walk it back with me. Octopuses. Y'all know them.
Fuck, he's right.
Y'all know them.
They have beaks.
No, they
Way
don't.
Too many arms.
You stupid.
That's
Way
a
too
squid.
many.
You stupid father.
God, that's a squid.
You dumb daddy.
I feel like there's an octopus.
There's got to be some.
There's an
I'm pretty sure
octopus
there's
with a beak.
octopuses with beaks.
They
I think
can't-
it's the other way around. I think
Don't do
squid don't have
research.
beaks.
Don't do research
No,
right now.
no. An octopus can totally have a beak, and it can fit through any hole that is beak sized or larger.
All octopus have beaks.
Ooh.
So I think I'll start talking for a little
So I think I'm the dumb daddy in
Because-
this scenario. No, okay, listen.
For those of you not actually watching the podcast on our
can't
live
watch the
stream,
For those keeping
two
count,
of us have laptops, and one of us doesn't.
try to guess who doesn't. But for those who are counting,
For those of you keeping score,
Bill 1, Joe 0.
I'm Joe.
Roy?
Ron.
Ron, undecided.
That's a clicker moment.
Yeah. I'm fine with it. We'll keep it in.
Ron and Bill both have laptops, and I do not, because as a budding father of...
How many children this week?
I've got 3 kids this week.
3 children.
I've
this
counted
week.
them with my own eyes.
3
And none of them have...
arguably human children.
Well, none of them have hideous mutations. Although, wouldn't you say that life itself is a hideous mutation?
Now tell me, do any of your kids have beaks?
Just the one we keep in the basement.
Okay.
I have not seen him this week. His shrieks haunt me at night. though.
Good old Chernobyl.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
Chernobog
I like to think
downstairs.
that he like octopi.
Octopi, yeah.
Is it octopi? It's octopi.
Octopussies.
Can
Can we say
morph-
pussies on this podcast?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Can morph his body to fit into any
Mm.
hole.
We have chained him
As
heavily.
long as it's
About to say.
beak-sized or larger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as it's a little bigger than his beak.
You'll have to forgive us, listener. We go on tangents about our families sometimes, as dads are wont to do.
Yes.
We do have a topic at hand, though, and it is animal sentience. Now, let me just say, the very little research that I have clearly done, octopuses scare me the most because of a few reasons. In laboratory settings, under tests, under a human observance, they're very intelligent creatures. They solve puzzles. They display evidence of remembering certain handlers, and they display certain emotions, like beyond that of fear and the basic animal instincts. So they scare me a little bit. What really scares me is that there are octopies,
Octopi.
octopenises.
That sounds tasty.
That sounds like a Japanese anime.
No, it sounds like a dessert at a Japanese
An octopenis?
establish an octopi,
An octopenis.
like apple pie.
Nope. I don't like it.
I mean, you got to pick
Like
the
a little-
beak out, but
I was going to say the little beak sitting in the center of the pie. Just put
like
that
a
in the oven.
garnish.
There are octopuses that are developing in conditions that do not sustain human life. In the incredibly high pressure of the deep dark ocean, where man-made machines don't survive, there are octopuses, and they're living apart from human influence. Let's walk this back again. Dogs have a certain level of sentience, right? They show regret and remorse. They show different acute emotions. They remember certain people, right?
Absolutely.
Birds have arguably higher emotional intelligence than dogs, like crows.
Motherfucking crows.
Motherfucking crows
Some can even talk and shit.
That's right. Some will remember a person who has wronged them in some way for years and will antagonize them.
And use currency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They'll buy shiny things with other pieces of detritus.
Mm-hmm.
They don't bother me. All these animals, horses are just God's beautiful gift to mankind. Arguably,
Are you
probably,
a horse girl?
Probably the most,
horse.
probably the most majestic creature that has ever walked the earth.
Man.
But no, listen. But they're
I met
dumb.
a horse girl on Tinder the other day. Holy shit!
Let's talk about that.
I thought you were a married dad.
Whoa!
What are you doing
Let's-
on Tinder, Ron?
First of all, I'm a stepdad.
Okay.
Oh,
Second,
He got
things
the
not
kids
going
divorced.
so well with Lucinda right now.
Lucinda? Oh, sweet Lucinda.
Beyond that, we have an understanding. We're what you would call a polyamorous couple.
That's great. That's very 2018.
We have a joint Tinder account, and we are constantly surfing for unicorns.
Hell
That
yeah.
is so progressive.
That's fantastic. Good. Stay away from my children and my family, but that is progressive. Tell us more about your Tinder horse girl encounter, and then I'll ramble some
I
more.
deleted her almost immediately.
Oh.
It was just like one of those auto swipes. I was like, this is like surpassing of my level of minimal attractiveness.
Yeah, the auto swipe.
We all like to act like we don't make value judgments, but we do.
I don't even look at Tinder anymore. I open it and start swiping right.
And I was like, we matched, and I was like, hey, how you doing? She's like, oh, pretty good. Just got back from the rodeo.
She's like, just sucked a
Oh,
big
yeah,
leg from a
immediately.
horse.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
thank
like,
you.
oh, did you have a good time?
She's like, yeah, I fucked 10 horses.
The only time I ever went to a rodeo, I was like 9 years old, and my own father begged me not to participate in the calf scramble.
He's like, my
Because
boy,
he knew
please.
that I was a soft boy who would get stuck in the mud, and he was correct. Just imagine an entire rodeo of Midwestern hard asses just laughing at my chubby ass stuck in the mud.
That sounds
That
like
was-
grounds for a lot of therapy.
That was
Shiny
my
Kmart
K through
sneakers.
12. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I went to school with this girl. We did senior quotes, and her senior quote was, "You will never know true love until you have experienced a relationship with a horse."
She's right. She's
It's in the
100%
yearbook.
right.
It is immortalized in the yearbook for all time.
And she's 100% right. God
She
bless
is.
her.
Yes.
God bless her, because horses certainly don't. The point I'm trying to make is horses are dumb as shit.
Well,
They're dumb as shit.
but they can show us the meaning of haste.
They can show us the meaning of haste. And when I look at a horse, I see a beautiful sunset. Every time.
That's unfortunate. You got to get that checked out.
It's the cataracts.
Shouldn't be seeing that.
Shouldn't be seeing that, Joe.
They have 4 legs.
Horses
You're
are...
doing way too many psychedelics, man.
Horses are relatively intelligent animals too. What do all of these animals have in common, though? The crows, the canines, the horses. What do they have in common? Can you guess?
They're all God's creatures.
They all are God's creatures. That
God
is
made them
entirely
all
true.
by hand.
They did. He did.
Yes, he did.
Handcrafted each one.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at a horse and you don't think to yourself, "God made that for me,"
Get out of here.
get out. I'm gonna twirl my lasso and pull you right on out of
Turn
my.
this podcast off. You're not
Listen,
our clientele.
listen. If you don't fuck horses, you don't listen to this podcast.
Clicker.
GTFO.
Edit.
What do they all have in common? You guessed, and you're entirely wrong. Ron.
Oh,
They're not humans.
wait.
We
Oh,
that's
consider
also
them
true.
apart from us.
That's also true. They're not humans, but that's not the point I'm trying to
Wait,
make.
are you saying all animals or just the
No, no,
ones
no.
you mentioned?
The,
Are you
the
gonna get
examples I've given.
Horses, birds.
Underdeveloped prefrontal cortex.
Again, you're right, but that's not what I'm going for. You
Beasts-
each get one more guess. We got
Beasts
it.
of burden.
You're right, but you're not right. One more guess.
I think
you
I'm
have
right.
one more guess, Ron.
They produce delicious milk.
Yo, crow milk is
Crow.
tasty
You ever
as
milked a
shit.
crow?
Crow milk, man.
I've got a crow milking side gig where I capture crows and milk them. The sorcerer.
I can smell it. Crow milk.
Old Ron wakes up and sustains himself on a diet of nothing but crow milk and
and chicken teeth.
raw eggs.
Hopefully harvested from the same bird.
Yeah.
No, what I'm trying to say is those animals are under human influence to a huge degree. Whereas octopuses, who can subsist, subside, whatever, survive in places that humans cannot reach to, they don't deal with humans. See, when you think about it, we domesticate everything. We domesticate everything. People are like, these days they have domesticated foxes, you know? Like that shit, they're wild animals. Those animals will never gain human sentience because we're pushing them down. Because we're like, no, here's a yoke. Be my beast of burden, right? Don't develop your frontal cortex. Octopenis.
Octopini.
Octococs. They can develop in the deep, dark, unreachable spots of the ocean without human interference. They can develop societies that we won't even know about until it's too late.
We can't even get down. That's a good fucking point.
We can't get down there. What are we going to do? Blow up the ocean? Maybe. One day, maybe.
We have to find a way to farm octopi.
Now, listen.
That's the only option.
It's not just farming it. It's rooting them out of their little crevices on the bottom of the ocean.
And figuring out where the milk comes
Figuring out where the milk comes from.
Yes.
The cloudy milk. But, like, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Animal sentience. That is the next creature to gain human-like levels of animal sentience. Now, let's say they get to, like, the hunter-gatherer stage of their development. There's no saying that we won't stamp them out then, unless we've been stamped out by Mother Nature herself.
Now hear this.
Mm.
If they're as smart as you claim, which I believe they are.
Yeah, developing intelligence.
What do you think has stopped them from coming to land? Because we, millions of years ago, came to land at some point.
They're just not there yet.
I don't think that the intelligence that they have now, when we first sprouted legs and came onto land.
Well,
now, hold on. If you're using coming up on land as like a benchmark for how advanced a species
I was
is,
gonna,
you got to
I was
consider
gonna
that
dispute
like
that.
yeah, like land mass on Earth is like it's a minority of
There's
the,
more
the
ocean.
surface area of space. Yeah, there's more ocean to conquer. Really, they're setting themselves up to conquer more of the world than we could ever hope to.
That's what I was going to say. They don't necessarily need to come on land. That doesn't matter. They can develop deep, cold hatred.
They've got their Tony Stark caves down there, and
They've
that's
got-
where they're located.
Okay.
And God help you if you go to where they live.
That's exactly right.
That's me being specious. Saying
Yeah,
that
you're being
they're
very specious.
underdeveloped
Totally
because
specious.
they didn't come on land like
You
we did.
scum.
Don't be a specious.
Fuck.
But
Sorry.
okay, now I've also heard theories that octopi are not of this world, and that they somehow maybe on a comet,
They were seeded?
Maybe
I've heard the same thing about dolphins.
I've heard the same thing about men.
Ooh,
Oh.
aren't we from Venus anyway?
No, men are from
No, men
Mars.
are from Mars.
Mars?
Yeah, women
Girls
are
are
from
from
Venus.
Venus.
But Venus rhymes with penis.
Venus does rhyme with penis, which is unfortunate for men.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
They don't necessarily need to come on land. That's not a loop they have to pass. They can totally. Well, okay. Think about it this way as well. What are we dumping into the ocean constantly? Trash, garbage, things that we don't want, things that could be twisted and developed with a malevolent intelligence into weird deep sea technology that we have no idea about. What are we getting rid of? What are we getting rid of? Computer stuff. Constantly getting rid of computer trash.
Rare earth metals.
Rare earth metals, plastic, viable materials for construction. They're gonna build a space cannon right under our noses.
Or have they?
They may have already. Who do you think? Well, we won't go there. That's my point.
Who's to say that our government doesn't actually consist of a shadow government comprised of shape-shifting octopi who've just developed the apparatus to stay on land for prolonged periods of time. Let me ask you another question.
Please do.
How often do you guys actually drink 8 glasses of water a day?
I drink a fuckload of water a day. I'm a big sweaty man. I'm out there in those cornfields shucking
I
for
hear
at least
that.
12 hours a day.
Do you feel like that's effort? Or are you having to like consciously remind yourself like, man, I need
It's habit.
Drink more water.
It's habit now.
It's habit.
It
I feel
is.
like
Yeah.
8 glasses would be a stretch for me from
Yeah.
what I naturally drink. I'd have to
Right.
push myself to drink 8 glasses.
And I'm right there with you.
What do we-
Actually,
what do
have
we-
to make a conscious effort to drink more water.
What
throughout the
are
course
we
of the day.
saying is a glass? How many ounces? 8? Is it 8 or is it like 12?
You are saying both 8 and 12, and I am okay with either one.
Because I think
You know what? We have the internet. Let's use it.
My point being, I have to make a conscious effort to drink more water. I'm evolved to the point where I'm so highly evolved that I'm stupid enough also that I have to make a conscious effort to put things into my body that keep me running. There's one less thing for octopi,
They don't need to
octopini.
drink.
They don't need to drink. They just exist in a state where they're constantly taking in water and hydrated and
they're so hydrated. They're
And they
so
can-
much more hydrated than we are.
That's why they're so much smarter.
Because they're always drinking water.
Brain activity increases.
Their
more you drink water.
synapses are firing
We
so
can't.
fast.
There's no way we could catch up at this point.
No, we're fucked. Let's just cancel. Podcast is canceled. Sorry, folks.
You know, and I believe the octopi overlord shapeshifting theory, because why else would they? I'm sure they're the ones that put out the reptile shapeshifting theory.
it's a smoke
distract
screen.
us,
It's
yes.
a smoke screen.
absolutely.
The more we talk about this, the more I want to just fucking kill myself. So let's go on another topic.
Let's maybe, man, I hate to hear that. Do you need to talk?
Clicker moment. You asked me to be neurotic. And click. But for real, octopuses scare me in a big way.
Okay. Well, would you like to hear my argument? It's not an argument. It's just a point. It's a lot of points.
I'm a little scared, but let's go.
Okay. I would argue that every animal is sentient. Not just octopi.
That's not an
Maybe-
argument. That's been proven.
So
You're
I
already
would say
right.
there's sentience in
You win.
every animal.
You win.
And ironically,
Good argument.
maybe it's not ironic. Okay. Interestingly, they say that fish, like just regular swimming fish,
What are we
like
talking
schools
about?
of
Catfish?
fish, like catfish,
Like
whatever.
a Mississippi catfish that you
Sure.
haul out of the ocean, the Mississippi
An
River?
old big mouth.
Old big mouth.
Bass,
That was
right?
my nickname in grade school.
Those supposedly have the least amount of sentience. They are the least conscious to what's going on around them.
Now, why is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because octopi, which are also found in the water, dolphins, which also have,
They have schools.
You know,
they travel
they're
in packs.
very intelligent.
They rove in packs.
Yeah. They're like highly intelligent, so I wonder where the separation is.
Well, dolphins are mammals.
Okay.
He's right.
Dolphins are mammals.
Dolphins are actually. Let me Google that. But
Mother.
No, they're totally.
Look at me fact check 24/7. God damn, I gotta get a laptop. Dolphins are mammals, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw a guess out. I'm just gonna throw. This is just a wild fucking shot in the dark, but maybe it has something to do with the limbs.
but
Now
not in
listen.
a dolphin.
Now, dear listener.
Wait, dolphins have finger bones.
Dear listener, I'd like to reiterate that we do so little research. We are just a bunch of dads who don't care about knowing real facts. We want to know dad facts. And dad facts are what you're getting on this podcast.
Yeah.
So again,
And
there are scientific answers here, but we have not looked for them. All right, go ahead.
and
Continue.
dad facts can't be argued because then you just yell at your kid for arguing with you.
All I have to do is raise my voice to little Timmy, and he just breaks down.
So let me steer off a little bit from this course. So I'm just gonna not completely change the subject, but kind of change the subject.
Sure.
Okay, so have we all heard of the Barnum and Bailey's like animal cracker situation that's happened recently?
The cracker, the
Smiles
box has
Back.
been redesigned, right?
Yes, because since like the odd
Since we don't
teens or whatever, the cover of Animal Crackers, the Barnum's Animal Crackers, has had animals in behind bars.
In
In
cages. Captivity.
Yes, very barbaric.
So barbaric.
So PETA has been throwing a big fit over it
You talking
lately.
about the dude from Hunger Games?
I'm talking about the dude from Hunger
Absolutely.
Games. And so he's pissed off about this.
That's the best joke I'm gonna make all night,
Yes.
folks.
You hit it. You can take a break now. You've done your job. So, yeah.
Something for the kids.
So Pete is pissed off about it, and they
No,
finally
only dads listen to this podcast. PETA, yes, continue.
they finally won their argument. I don't know if it was like, I doubt it was a lawsuit thing, but they were just making a big enough fuss that Barnum's Animal Crackers changed their design. Now it's a bunch of animals who are free to roam all over this
Gorgeous,
cover. Yes,
beautiful creatures.
beautiful,
I imagine there's a
beautiful
horse
beasts.
somewhere on that.
There's
cover.
probably a horse.
God, what a beautiful animal.
Any animal that is just horribly taken advantage of in a circus, which is
Horses.
yeah. So people are
horses.
like, yeah, they did this, but still they're basically abusing animals.
Mhm.
So, yeah, but that got me thinking about PETA. I had a friend tell me recently that PETA is not really the animal advocates that everybody thinks they are.
Oh, really?
Because, and I actually did do some research on this.
Oh, look at this guy showing up.
Hey, I
Look
have
at
a
Bill.
laptop.
Bill, you're killing it tonight.
Yeah, Bill came prepared. So, yeah, so they take in all these animals. So let's look at some numbers from 2014. And I'm reading this from the Huffington Post, so
HuffPo.
say what you want about that, but, you know.
They've got a silly
I've
sounding
seen
name.
other things.
Huffington? What are
To
they
support
huffing?
this.
Whippets? How can I trust the word of someone who does whippets?
So, in 2014, PETA took in over 3,300 cats,
I'm sorry. I have to
dogs,
interrupt.
and other animals.
Every time
Okay.
you say PETA, I think of the character and
PETA.
everything you're describing. I'm just thinking of the
I'm just hungry for a gyro, to be honest.
Actually, okay, it's in all
Euro.
caps,
PETA. There you go.
so I'll scream it from now on when I say PETA.
Please do. That would really help me out here.
So PETA took in over 3,300 animals.
Yeah, they did.
They euthanized over 2,400 of those animals.
Who
Okay.
did?
PETA.
We're laughing about animal
For
euthanization.
those of you not watching the podcast on our live stream,
on our Patreon live stream.
Bill actually has a whole file folder full of information on PETA.
Yes.
He
This
does.
is PETA files.
He's rifling through papers right now.
I have one of those fucking yarn shit
Yeah,
with all the
the
connections.
corkboard, the
You don't have
Yeah.
to describe it to me. I can see it.
Okay,
So can
well-
our viewers.
Joe and
if
Bill
you pay for
and
our
Ron.
patron program, you can see it as well. So, so anyways, yeah, they're killing these animals, and of all those animals, they only adopted out to other people 23 dogs and 16 cats
Jesus.
in
Christ.
2014. So
That's pretty wild.
basically, they're working as
They're assassinating.
they're assassinating
They're animal
these animals.
assassinators.
And there's some other like percentages. It's insane.
Let's not look
Well,
up.
I'm not so hot on the numbers. Let's keep,
Okay,
keep the
Dad,
numbers
Let's skip
low.
that. So
Those numbers are making me
There's-
sad, Bill.
and so you know,
God
you
damn.
think like maybe this is something they wouldn't even address, but they have a whole section of their website
Well, they're like,
titled,
hey, check out our kill count.
titled "Why We Euthanize," and
Because that's impossible to hide 30,000
to control
kitty cat
the
bodies.
population.
Yeah.
Is this any better than the Nazis? Like,
Oh, God.
exactly.
Right.
So I'm not going to go into like everything they say because I don't. From what I've read, I'm not going to take their word for anything. But they begin the paragraph, the whole of the article, by saying the word euthanasia comes from two Greek words.
No, God.
Good.
Of fucking course
Meaning-
they do.
Let's
Meaning-
intellectualize killing animals.
Meaning good and death. So euthanasia is
Listen.
defined as a merciful release from life in order to end suffering.
I've
Thank
heard
you, PETA.
I've read The Giver. I know what's really
Yeah, I know
Yes.
what's going on here.
Thank you so much. So
God damn.
there's also rumors circulating about how they obtain these animals. Some are given over willingly.
I don't like the way that sounds at all.
There's also reports of them taking these animals off of people's porches.
I've heard
Yes.
I've heard PETA
Yeah.
crazy those associates just barging into like gated homes, like homes with fences, just snatching animals.
Because they feel like they're gonna give them something better than they already have.
A swift, sweet, merciful death.
And I'm not saying that they're I'm sure there are people there are people abusing their animals and not giving them, a good life. But them taking them to kill them, I don't think is the
I don't
best
think
option.
that's okay.
So anyways, I looked it up, if that was true. And I went to Snopes.
You snooped.
And so their purpose is not to steal these animals, to lure them away. That's not like in their charter, is we're going to steal animals and kill them. But there have definitely been PETA associates involved in stealing animals. So I see it as like
Got it.
Manson's family, right?
So, okay.
He may not, his argument was he never told people to kill these people, but his doctrine promoted that. So
Okay.
if PETA is promoting this kind of stuff and its followers are doing it.
Or could we compare
That's a
it
problem.
to extremists?
Well, it is.
PETA extremists.
Well, it is.
I think the Manson family was pretty extreme.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
I would use the phrase fucking metal.
Metal as
Yeah.
fuck.
You wear a PETA t-shirt at a Slayer concert and you'll fit right in.
I just want to throw in, I can totally separate, the artist from art. I still listen to the Manson family band. It's not a big deal.
Well, who doesn't?
That's a good point.
Yeah. So,
Um,
yeah. And then I could talk about veganism, too, if we want to dive into that.
let's have a clicker moment really quick.
Click!
I do have something to talk about when we get around to it, but
I do. You do?
yeah.
So far we've talked about. You can keep recording if you want. I'm
Let's
just
keep
saying.
recording.
I'm gonna talk about this for a second.
I got lots of memory.
You do?
Oh.
I have no memory. My memory is blasted. Short attention span. Focus. So far I've ranted about animal sentience, and you've given statistics about animal deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had a couple of funny moments, but I'm trying to really adhere to that. What are we offering for their free time?
Mm-hmm.
Are we offering statistics and facts and long rants?
We have done that.
Yeah.
We've done that. Well, I'm saying,
What do we want to offer?
right. What do we? This is just a moment where I'm like, what do we want to offer?
Mm-hmm.
Because we got to think of how we like. And I hate using this term because it makes it sound like we're trying to turn this into like some big corporate thing. But how are we branding ourselves? How do we? What I want to think about is that one sentence description of us, and I want to try and stick to it. Sorry,
You're okay.
I want to try and stick to it as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything wrong with what we just did for the past stretch of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to say, is that something we're comfortable being consistent with?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like the flow of this one. a lot more than that.
I like the
digging
flow of
what
this
we're
one.
doing, yeah.
Obviously, first efforts are always going to be super rough.
Yeah.
And I think our first little podcast, even though we were like stretching out, I don't
There was a
think
lot
you
of
should post
fruitful
that.
stuff there.
Yeah.
I don't think you should post that anywhere. I don't think that should, because that's really rough.
Yeah.
Real rough. It's like the writer doesn't publish his first draft. The
Yes.
podcasters don't
Really
publish.
raw.
It's raw.
Right.
The only thing I'm trying to say is just as long as we're consistent episode to episode with our format, and we can push it out there in a single sentence. Like if someone asks us if this becomes it's not.
Mm-hmm.
If this becomes our career, and someone asks us on the street, "Hey, what do
I've
you do
put
for a
my
living?"
2 weeks in, Joe. So
Well, good. Let's
think- Like right now, we're kind of taking like the top-down approach and seeing like organically what comes out, and then
Okay.
focus on what's positive about that and try to fit that into a sentence.
okay.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Okay.
I like that. I'm just trying to keep us focused on that.
I think being able to say like, hey, let's walk away from this and take the most positive part of it,
Yeah.
hone in on that and sharpen that. But
and
I
think,
don't know what to suggest as like a point for that sentence quite yet.
well, and a big part of this is we're gonna have to, and I think
I like
We
that we're
each-
taking turns leading the conversation.
I like that too.
Mm.
I think that's great.
Mm.
I think a big thing that will help us all learn is listening to this later.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So whenever you've got
I'll get this one edited.
Okay.
don't get it edited,
I'll just leave. Okay.
because I think we should all have you should edit because I trust you with the editing. I'm just saying, at least with this first episode, we should all have some kind of input on what we each liked about the episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's fair.
That sounds good.
Something we liked and
We can
something...
listen to it and come back and have notes.
Yeah.
What I'll do...
Something we liked and something we didn't like. Because I think that's just as valid and just as important. Saying, hey, this wasn't great. We either tighten it up or just get rid of it completely.
I'll start a YouTube channel just for this and
Okay.
just upload it.
Okay.
And just
I
put
agree
some-
with that.
And then that way we can listen to it.
Or we should have a private channel
Oh yeah, I mean we won't.
that all of the raw stuff goes on.
Yeah.
And then a separate one where all of the edited stuff goes on. Or we could just do the Google Drive and you just dump the audio files into that. Or whatever.
That'd probably be easier.
Just something
we could pay some college students to create a whole new audio streaming platform
Let's do
just
that.
for us.
I
to
think that's a
use,
great idea.
So nobody else can
You guys-
use that platform.
You guys seem to really like Dadcast, so
Yeah.
why don't we call our new platform Dadcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll have an app.
Podcasts.
People love
We
apps.
need an app.
We need
Yeah.
God,
an
we
app.
need apps.
We need an
We
app.
do.
apps and Zergs.
Apps and Zergs. Yeah, that's
All
exactly
day.
what I was thinking.
All right, good. As long as we're just mindful of that. And we'll have some of this later. So we'll just finish this clicker moment here.
Okay.
Chop chop.
Yes.
Ron.
Click.
So we've talked about animal sentience, and I kind of want to walk it back around to that a little bit. Is anybody familiar with Project Nim? Has anybody seen that documentary?
I've seen The Secret of Nim, an excellent childhood movie of mine.
What,
I've
what
also
was
seen
the
that
secret of Nim like before we move on?
The Secret of Nim? It
Yeah.
was about lab rats.
I don't remember as a secret. I never got anything out of it.
This is actually about a lab chimpanzee, not necessarily rats.
Got it.
So what happened was in 1973, this research psychologist from the University of Columbia started this experiment where he attempted to socialize a chimpanzee into a human family. So what happened was he had this chimp born in captivity. The moment the chimp was born, it was stripped away from its mother and raised by a human family. And the whole point of the experiment was to raise this chimpanzee as authentically as possible, to see that if it could be socialized into these patterns of behavior that humans have and exist on a higher level, or at least be able to functionally communicate with humans better, having been socialized in that environment. Does that make sense?
That's fucking
Okay.
horrifying.
Right, yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, so chimpanzee stripped from its mother horrifically and traumatically and then thrown into the arms of humans who just kind of promised to raise this thing as if it were a real human child.
Don't tell me if I spoil the end of this, but does a chimpanzee rip the arms off of everyone in the family?
No,
Okay.
but you're not far off.
It was their genitals.
It was their genitals and he beat them to death with them. One titty each hand.
So basically,
Square up.
this was one of the first primates that they taught ASL to, American Sign Language, and it picked that up and was able to effectively communicate its needs and communicate with other people using ASL. And they just tried to raise this thing like a human child. And the whole hypothesis of the experiment was that you could socialize a chimpanzee, you could socialize a primate to interact on the same level as humans. And the conclusion that they came to is that hypothesis had failed, it had tested false. Because this chimpanzee, when it was stringing together words and phrases, couldn't really string together like eloquent sentences, and it would usually ask for what it wanted, not really communicate in any empathetic
Like a big
way.
stupid monkey.
I sure, yeah. What's funny about this experiment is it's been cited for years and years and years, and we talked about this podcast is dad facts, and it's not always the most reliable information, but sometimes scientists are bitches.
Sometimes scientists are bitches. Listen, if there's one thing as a dad I know, it's that science is mostly wrong.
And it's kind of hard.
And it's kind of hard.
What actually happened with this experiment, it's such a gigantic failure in research psychology. from the age of like 5, this family was smoking pot with this monkey.
Oh, yo, there it is.
Literally, like, chimpanzee in a diaper, in the session, sitting in the circle, getting past a joint.
So you're saying the only family that they could find for this experiment was one that was already blasted out of their fucking
This was in the
minds?
70s, and I like to believe
Hell
a larger
yeah!
percentage of people were blasted out of their
Hell
fucking
yeah!
minds.
So that was probably like a normal family interaction.
That was a nuclear
Right,
family.
that's what you do with like a normal human 5-year-old child.
Hey,
Yeah.
little Jimmy wants
Set him
his
down,
Gerber.
hand him a joint.
His little 5-year-old Jimmy toked up yet? You don't toke up, you don't get your dessert, Jimmy.
And what they were finding is this chimpanzee was just too angry and frustrated to function in a way that's like acceptable and like avoiding of like risk-taking behaviors. And we don't know that it was raised authentically in the family environment because these things happened. It smoked pot. The mother admitted later that she couldn't fully accept this as a child, as one of her own, because it's a chimpanzee in a diaper. It's a lot of like well-wishing and just enthusiasm to think that, you know, you could raise a chimpanzee as a human and believe that you love it in the same way that you would love a human. She just couldn't do it. She didn't feel the same way. And we've relied on this as fact and evidence for so long, but, you know, it begs the question, like, was this monkey stigmatized by the idea that he understood that he was different from everybody else? That he couldn't communicate in the same way because he didn't have, like, the same vocal cords?
Yes.
And you feel like another class, right?
Yeah.
So-
because monkeys are one of those sentient creatures, right?
Yeah.
They understand when something's off.
So the experiment was officially ended when this chimpanzee attacked the mother.
Yep.
And
Ripped her titties right off.
basically, yeah, ripped both tits right
Just
off.
beat her to death.
Threw
with
him
them.
against the wall.
Them big saggy hippie titties just
Yes.
smothered her.
And this chimpanzee was like taken back into captivity, raised in like a sanctuary, never fully socialized with chimpanzees again. And one of his frequent handlers came to visit him like years and years later, and the chimpanzee recognized him and had an emotional connection with this man. You know, understood, like, you were my handler from a decade ago. That's awesome. You've come to visit me. Communicated like great joy and enthusiasm for this guy entering the environment again. And one of the first things he asked him was an ASL, like, you stone, me stone, we stone now.
Yo, oh man. We
And I was, what's ironic is
monkey.
I watched this documentary and I was taught about this experiment at university, and the professor just presented it as if it was, you know, like, credible information. And I had to interrupt the class and be like, no, seriously, like, this monkey was not effectively socialized. Like, the experiment just had too many variables that you can't account for. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Well, I wonder if that says something about, like, even humans adopting other humans. Do they use that as, like, any sort of connotation? Because, like, you said the mom wasn't able to accept this as her own.
Mm-hmm.
Was it solely because it was a monkey, or was part of it because she just did not give birth to it? Because I'm sure some people, not foster parents, of course, who this woman, I'm sure, was not.
Probably not. At least not for humans.
I mean, there's some people who just, that's how they see things. Like, it did not come from me, it is not mine. So I wonder if it could have had a different ending if
the
more
human
open.
mother had given birth to the chimpanzee.
Well,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
yeah.
There's no way we have to get. That's the next stage of this experiment.
We call that an unholy abomination, and we kill it with pitchforks and torches.
Not all of us. Not PETA.
PETA! I'd also like to
Kills
put
it.
something on the table connected to this whole adoption point we're making here. If a family can't accept chimpanzee, which is arguably one of the most human animals you can encounter,
After the bonobo.
after the bonobo, after the noble bonobo, how the fuck am I supposed to take the documentary Stuart Little seriously?
Oh
When
my God.
an entire family can adopt...
Let alone Stuart Little too.
Let alone Stuart Little too. When an entire family adopts a goddamn mouse, who is Okay, I'll give the mouse this. I'll give Stuart this. He's very socialized. He's the most humanly social animal I've ever seen on screen.
I think that's because they gave him that sweet car.
It's the
that
car.
bolstered him up.
It could also be because they didn't make Stuart Little smoke pot every day.
Yeah,
So I think the lesson here is reefer madness is real.
I won't argue that.
Can we all agree? Can we all agree that reefer madness is real?
Well, here's the deal. Maybe they got to the point where Stuart Little did want to attack the mom, but he's a fucking mouse.
He's a mouse. All she has to do is yell, "Eek!" jump on the counter,
Yeah.
and the dad comes in and crushes Stuart Little's tiny little wet rat bones.
Well, they also had the cat to keep Stuart in line.
That's
He's constantly in fear of his life.
The cat is
He had to
policing
manipulate
Stuart.
the social hierarchy so that they would protect him from the cat. It kept him loyal.
That's
All they needed
very true.
That's like real life, you know.
They
I do the
needed-
same thing at work.
They needed a yes. They needed a natural predator for the chimpanzee.
Exactly.
And he was
They
shaped
didn't have
up
one.
like a big brother, right?
A big brother to bully his ass.
keeps the little brother in line.
That's what I do to
why-
all my younger siblings.
That's why only children are always so spoiled and shitty.
And why is it an only child? I developed this rampant sense of narcissism.
It's
Eggs,
true.
yes.
It is very wow. We're cracking this one
My
wide
God.
open.
We
three
should
dads.
charge for this podcast.
We do. It's called Patreon.
Yeah,
You can be a member and watch the live stream. All the editing done in real time, folks.
Okay.
You'll love it.
For those of you not watching the live stream, we just put some incredible CG effects on the screen.
I now have wings and 7 crowns, all of them flaming, hovering above my head. I am the
So-
Antichrist.
What happened with the chimpanzee after he was taken from the home after attacking the mother?
Please tell me that he got his hands on some sweet, sweet dank.
From the NPR article that I refreshed with, it says in 1977 he attacked one of the people taking care of him, and the experiment ended. At that point, researchers said he knew more than 125 ASL signs, but no one quite knew what to do with him. He was sent to a medical research facility where he lived in a cage with other chimps for the first time in his life before being rescued and sent to an animal sanctuary. He died in 2000. So, born in...
Not a terrible ending for the
No, 1973 and lived until 2000 in a sanctuary. So he had another almost 25 years, 22 years in sanctuary.
Did he ever
That's
get...
still-
23.
That's still a fairly low life expectancy because I think chimps can live upwards of 60 years.
I heard that
Really?
chimps can
Yeah.
be as old as 300.
Well,
And they grow as large as houses.
well,
and
that's
they
wrong.
take on the names like King Louis
Mm-hmm.
and
That's completely wrong.
King Kong.
You
lots
should-
lots of monarchy in the
The
chimp
common
hierarchy.
chimpanzee lives up to 50 years.
Like I
so-
said,
Okay.
50 years, give or take.
Yeah, he was about 10 years short of his life
Yeah.
expectancy.
Because
Oh,
he
well,
smoked all
that's
that
not too.
weed.
Yeah, that weed really worked on.
The weed
And
shorts
being
are-
ripped from your mother and put into.
No,
Imagine
that
us
has nothing
being
to do with it.
taken from our family
I often do.
and put with other creatures that look kind of like us, but not enough alike to not give us fucking nightmares.
We do go through that. It's called going to work and seeing your coworkers. Hell, am I
Hey,
right?
am I right?
Am I
Let's talk
right,
about
folks?
coworkers.
Let's talk about dads. Let's talk about coworkers and dads.
But like,
I
just
hate, just for the record, I hate all of my fucking coworkers.
Every
Every single last one of them.
single one.
That's
Not
a topic. That's a topic for another podcast.
Coworkers. Okay, we can do that.
That's a topic for another podcast. After the ripping success of this podcast,
Yes.
this inaugural podcast, clicker moment.
Click, click.
How do we want to end podcasts?
Have we reached the end?
I think probably.
I think we've reached the end.
I think.
I'll
How long
say
have
we
we
should-
gone?
I think it would be
It's been over an
fun
hour.
to talk about like one current events thing. I know a lot of podcasts end that way, and I think
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I like the trope.
My current events thing was the Barnum and Bailey. That happened like not even a week ago.
That-
And that's
I
yeah,
ran that on one of my news.
That's totally
newscasts.
That would be a good way to end on a current event.
yeah. That's
Mine
what I'm
would have
saying.
been a better ending.
Yeah.
Probably.
So when you say end on a current event, what do you mean? Like, I grab
Something
a news
Something
article.
that's in the news. Yeah,
Yeah.
Is it relevant to our topics that we've been discussing all night,
No.
or is it just a random?
totally
news-
apart
Just
from the
anything?
subject. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
yeah. If it ties into the subject, even better.
Mhm.
But
And how do we format that? Is it just another topic one of us brings up? That could be the father moderator of the week
Mm-hmm.
finds a current event that's going on and brings it to the table at the end. We could bring it up beforehand, of course.
Let's try to find something relevant to the conversation, though.
That's
I
not
think-
always going to be possible.
I know.
That's not always going to be. That's again consistency. That's not always.
We
gonna
need a
be
good
possible.
segue then.
We could always just say, "Thanks for listening."
I really want to end on this has been the Dad of the Week podcast. Remember to change your oil.
I like that.
I really
we
wanna
could
end
have
on
we could have a new dad phrase at the end of each podcast. We could say whoever the father moderator is says, "Hey, thanks for listening to the Dad of the Week. I'm Joe." One of you goes, "I'm Ron." One of you goes, "I'm Bill." Then the father moderator comes in again. This is, and hey, kids, don't forget to change that oil.
Call your mother.
Yeah.
Hey, kids,
Remember to call your mother. She's chewing my ear off.
remember to call your mother. Hey, eat your greens.
This is Ron with the Dad of the Week podcast, and I want you to know I'm proud of you, son. Always have been.
Yo.
We all prayed for that.
This is the Dad of the Week podcast. I'm Joe. Just remember to pack an extra pair of underwear. You never know when you're going to need them. Just something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
This has been Ron with the Dad of the Week podcast, and we're signing off. Lucinda, give me a beer!
Hey, close that front door. We're not air conditioning the whole neighborhood.
Who changed the damn thermostat?
You know I like to come home with a TV set to CNN.
Who's been in my Fig Newtons?
My goldfish are all rustled.
I think we could start and stop the podcast with that.
Just screaming.
Just yelling something into the other room with the family.
Where's the fucking remote?
That's literally how the podcast should start. Where's the fucking remote?
I kind of like just starting the podcast, just
Yeah.
in media res, and then ending on the dad thing.
Okay.
We'll just all get angry and start screaming at a minute.
Just random shit.
And just fade out as we continue to scream.
And I told you I don't like that brand. It depends. We could do that. So yeah, just ending it then. Current events. Are we doing that?
I mean, not right now. We didn't have anything.
Well, I don't mean tonight. I mean, is that something we want to be consistent with?
We could set it up so that you can edit in the animal crackers thing in the end if you want to try.
We could record like 50 of those, and then you can just mix and match.
I mean,
We could also just do it on the spot, like have one prepared.
yeah.
Come
Let's
in.
prepare one. Won't worry about one tonight, probably.
No.
But
Okay.
We just end it with the standard, hey, this is Dad of the Week. I'm Joe.
This is Ron.
This is Bill.
Thanks for joining. Call your mother. I'm going to say call your... Since I'm the father moderator, I'm going to say call your mother.
Close the fucking door.
Yeah. Close the goddamn door.
Turn down that goddamn music.
Turn down that video game.
Okay, so...
Are you winning, son?
I'd